All right. So today I want us to actually work on CI/CD pipeline. How to build a simple CI/CD pipeline. So to start with, I don't know if you understand what CI/CD is. Can anyone help us? CI/CD. Are you familiar with the word CI/CD? What do you understand CI/CD to be?
Okay, for me, basically CI is continuous integration and CD is continuous delivery, right? So my own understanding what CI means, the terms continuous integration is automating the process of integrating or the build, like continuous modification, continuous integration, like continuously adding features to your products and continuous delivery. And while you're adding that, it is automatically delivering to the end users without ASU, right?
Without any manual interferences, yeah. So it's as simple as that. So now when you're talking about DevOps is just a process of automating the processes. You are trying to reduce manual labor. I think at the beginning of this class, I mentioned that why DevOps? DevOps is just to help developer, reducing the stress on the head of developer, because when you are a developer, basically the reason why you are a developer is write some code for me. And it was discovered like over time, developer waste more time in the process of trying to set up server, trying to deploy code and all. So now that's what actually brought on the concept of DevOps. DevOps is to help developers, to take some workloads off developers. So now DevOps too, as a person too, one of the most important thing that is trying to automate process, because try to imagine a work environment where you have thousands of developers working on a code or working on a project per time. And each day, each developer are working on different features and they are pushing code. Then you have to manually be deploying every day. You can imagine how stressful that is going to be. Okay, so that's what actually brought in the concept of CI/CD. CI/CD is just a way of automating the process of integrating code and deploying code. When I mean integrating code, there's already an existing code and developers are writing new code. How are they integrating it into the already existing code without introducing bug? Okay, so integrating code, adding new features, ensuring there's no new bug, and also deploying the same code. So that's what the essence of CI/CD is. So CI is continuous integration, process of integrating new code, building a code. Probably we are working with something like Java, something like C++, where you have to compile the code. So this process, continuous integration, and then process of deploying. Probably you have different environments. You have development environments, you have the UAT environment, you have production environments. So when I'm talking about environment can be synonymous to a server, okay, can be synonymous to a Kubernetes cluster, okay. So now when I'm talking about integrated to an environment, so we can be talking about development. So when you're talking about development basically, okay, I'm going to use my company for instance now. And it varies from company to company. We used to have development environment. Development environment, most of the time, is like an environment where developers actually test their code. Okay, so probably somebody add a new feature somewhere. Developers will test it first and see if it works fine. Okay, that's development. So if everything works fine on development, there's now something they call promoting code to a new environment. You are promoting or advancing. So you can now have UAT environments. Okay. Then there's something we call staging or pre-prod. There's something we now call production. It actually depends on how you want it. But basically, I think most common environment is development, that is where the developers test their code. Okay. Then we have another environment, probably maybe a UAT. A UAT is you can have a UAT as a place where QA actually do all the testings, that's necessary and all. Then you cannot have a pre-prod, but some companies, they don't really have that luxury of resources, so they just take it straight to production. So a pre-prod can be like a simulation of production environment, and then you have production environment. But let's just assume in our case, we have development, we have UAT, and then we have production. Okay, so now all this process, how to actually manage all this process automatically, that's why we be engaging CI/CD. Okay, and in our case now, we are going to be using Jenkins as both for continuous integration and continuous delivery. That's for this class. So we also have different techniques anyway for actually doing CI/CD. Okay, there's something if you read the message that I left on the group, I said I was stuck between using Git Action and Jenkins. Jenkins is originally supposed to be CI tool, but then you can also use it for deployments. And in our case, you're going to be using Jenkins for both CI/CD. Okay, so Git Action is an integration tool. If you have time, you can read about it. GitHub Action. Let me write it. Continue. GitHub Action. So it's a CI tool as well. Okay, so where you can.
Sorry, we are not seeing your screen, no.
Oh, sorry. So Git Action. It's also a CI tool. Okay. Then we also have GitLab CI. We have GitLab CI. GitLab CI and Git Action, they are almost synonymous. That's for GitLab, they call it GitLab CI. For GitHub, the CI is called GitHub Action. Okay, we also have different types, but in our case, we are going to make use of Jenkins for both CI and CD. Okay, so then we now have some other tools again that are for deployments. You have the Spinnaker, you have the Argo CD. So they all have their different use cases, but for simple CI/CD, at least you have a broad understanding of what CI/CD is. We are going to be using Jenkins for both our continuous integration and continuous delivery. So without wasting much time, let's get right into it. So this is our server. So no, well, probably they have been talking about Jenkins and you've been like worried, like what's really Jenkins? Jenkins is just a tool on its own too, okay, which we are going to set up on our server. All right. So let me share this on the group. All right, so to install Jenkins, we actually need Java. We need to install Java. I intentionally did not do these things just like because I said I wanted to show you. I want us to be doing everything together. So the first thing you need to do is you have to install Java. And to see if you have Java, you have to check if you have Java already installed on your server, but I don't think I installed Java yet. Oh, okay, so I get like Java not found, so I have to install Java. So I'm going to follow this process to install the Java. Find version by checking parts where you have Java. Where is Java? Search for Java. Which one is this? Find versions by checking. Check Java version. No. Check if you already have Java. Okay, so since Java is not installed on this system, so now we are going to be using OpenJDK. Okay, so now the first thing we want to do is we want to update. We already have it updated, and then the next thing is we are going to be installing the OpenJDK. So I'm going to copy this command to install the OpenJDK. Then, I think I was supposed to install We install OpenJDK 11 on our system. I'm supposed to install, I think, depending on which Java version you want to install, Java 8 and 11 run one of the following commands. I think I'm supposed to run 11 anyway. Why didn't I read it properly? Newer panel, the currently running panel system is, which is not the expected panel version. Restarting the system, load the new panel will not be added, so you should consider rebooting. Shit. So which service should be restarted? Let me see if I can install version 11 and set the default if possible. Okay, so let's check the Java version again and see which one is default. Okay, now we see default is Java 11. You understand what I've done so far, right? Now, for you to use Jenkins, it actually tells us like that Java runtime is a requirement. That's why we are installing Java first. Okay. So now to install Jenkins, the first thing we want to do is we want to import this GPG key. We just follow these steps as we have in this blog, that's in Phoenix. So let's start by copying this command and run. This command is for adding the Jenkins repository. So let's paste. Oh, what's that? Permission denied. Like permission denied. What's this? Okay, permission denied. Okay. GT not found, but can be installed with. Okay, so now, if not like I spotted this could have given us an issue. It's actually using this. There's a command that was used that was not found. What's that? It said GT not found. Yes, GT. Okay, this. Okay. Where's that? When they say this? Coil FS. Dev null. Oh, okay. Now look at what really happened here. It converted it. See the ASCII representation. So it changed this to something else that's ASCII for you. So look at it now. So that's why we have this issue here. Because I actually use this. So I'm going to copy properly. Let me copy using this way. All right, you see, so everything actually works smoothly. Okay, so now this command was to call this repository and then, maybe create a file here. That's what it's supposed to do if everything had worked fine, but because there was an error, that's why we had it printed out. So now add the Jenkins software repository to the source list and provide the authentication key. Let's just copy this as well. And once we do that, please don't make a mistake I made by using the copy symbol here. That's why I got that issue earlier. So now that we've added the repository, let's update the second time. It shouldn't take time since this is not our first time. And then once that is done, let's install our Jenkins. Okay. So let's wait for Jenkins to be installed. Then after, we are going to use our systemctl to start the Jenkins server. Okay. So now let's check the status of the. I believe you're familiar with this command, systemctl status Jenkins. Right?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
All right, cool. So now running the command, it's actually telling us Jenkins is already running. So since it's already running, it's okay. Then one command again that we might want to consider doing is this enable. So now this enable command, what this actually does is there are some times when you actually restart a server, okay? You want the server to, like, you want to restart Jenkins at a restart of your instance, maybe your VM. So like if you reboot the VM, it's going to kill all the running processes, even including Jenkins. So you have to start it manually. So instead of you having to be restarting all this manually, that's the end of this command, just enable. So running this enable actually means every time you are restarting a server, at the time it's coming up again, start this Jenkins automatically. So we are going to run that. So enable, that's what that is all about. So now, I think the next thing is you should be able to access the Jenkins server on port 8080. Now let me copy the IP address and see on port 8080 and what we have. 8080. Okay, so I think we have issues with that. Might need to run this command then, this firewall, modify the firewall to allow Jenkins. So I guess probably it's blocked. The firewall is blocking it. So let's see. Let's just run this command and see what we have. Let's run the command. Basically, okay, rules updated to allow port 8080. Basically, we are just following all we have here. Let's check the status to see what we have. We are just following what we have. Oh, status is not even active. Okay. Status is inactive. If there is a different file, I will refer these steps. If you haven't configured the space as inactive, okay. So let's enable. Let's enable. Command will disrupt existing SSH. Okay. Yeah. Now it's active and enable system startup. Okay. Then let's try to access it again and see what we have. This is still blocked. Okay. This is still being blocked. This is being blocked. That's port 88 is being blocked. Let me try to coil. I'm gonna try to coil to see what's happening. So we are in for troubleshooting here. Could be wrong. Let me see my security group to see if I have it enabled. I think I actually allowed all ports only. So I can be double sure. Oh, okay, I only have SSH. All right, that was why. So edit inbound. I only have SSH. As you can see, this is SSH. I thought I allowed all traffic. So now I'm going to allow all traffic from anywhere. Okay, let's save rule. So let's restart. All right, so now it's as simple as that. Our Jenkins is up and running. So now to start with, we have an instruction to ensure Jenkins is securely set up by administrator. a password has been written to the log. Not sure where to find it. And this file is, so it's telling us like this log is located here. We should copy the password from this location on our VM. Okay, so now let's do that. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut the password from that directory. He said it's in this directory, this Jenkins directory. I'm going to cut it. And there's the password. You can see. Then I'm going to copy the same and use it as our initial password. Then continue. Incorrect password. Why? Why is it incorrect? Why is it incorrect, man? All right, so now we are in. So do I have to save? No, I don't. It's temporal. So I'll have to create a new user. So now it says customize Jenkins. So the first thing I want to do is plug in extend Jenkins. So now when you're talking about plugins, it's acting like we should install plugins that maybe some basic plugins, you know, when you're talking about plugins, plugins such of extending the feature of a particular tool. Okay, so it's saying plug in extend Jenkins with additional features to support many different needs. So now you might install some plugins for GitHub, for GitLab, for EC2 instance. You know, there are a lot of things for logging. So if you want to do anything on Jenkins, just look for the plugin. It's going to easily help you. You know, just read the documentation and all. But now to start with, it says just install the suggested plugin. So let's install the suggested plugin to start with. So it's going to take some time. It's running. All right, so now it's telling us like, okay, now that you are logged in, it's telling us create our first admin. So we have to create our first user. Let me just give it rich mind. and it's asking for password. So I'm going to give it a password. Then it's asking for name. Then let's give it an email. Sure, it's called Senegal. So adding the button, save and continue. Okay, so this is our Jenkins URL. This is our Jenkins URL. Let me just copy this and save. It's the same thing that we have port 18. Okay, so save and finish. This is to provide. So save and finish. So then the next thing is start using Jenkins. Now our Jenkins initial plugin, initial setup is completed. Any question? Hello? Hello?
None from me. None
Okay.
from me.
All right, so let's continue then. So now we have this is the Jenkins dashboard, and what we want to do right now is we want to create a CI/CD pipeline. Okay, and to create a new CI/CD pipeline now, what we need is the first thing we want to do is add new item. This is just a this is basically the dashboard. Okay, so probably you can just play around, start building your software project, set up distributed views and all. But what we want to do is CI/CD pipeline. So to set up our CI/CD pipeline, you can just click on this new item, and what do you want to name it? Let's call it DevOps. That's what we normally do, and then select a freestyle project. So these two, these are different things that you could do. You could set up a pipeline, this with Jenkins file, multi-configuration project folder, organization. But what we are going to make use of is freestyle project. So let's make use of freestyle project. Let's start with freestyle project. Click on it. As you can see, it's highlighted. So click on freestyle project and click on OK. Now, if you want to ask me now, this Jenkins of 15, it's actually been a while I actually worked with Jenkins, but why am I showing us this Jenkins? It's actually a good way to understand what CI/CD is. You know, I'm trying to introduce us to CI/CD so you understand the concept. There are some companies that actually still make use of Jenkins, but my company, we don't even make use of Jenkins. It's been a while I used Jenkins. Last time I used Jenkins was 2020. Yes, but a lot of companies actually make use of Jenkins. Presently now, what we do is we actually make use of our GitLab CI. We make use of GitLab CI for the continuous integration and deployment, and we are looking forward to moving to Argo CD for the delivery. You know, CD is either you can call it continuous delivery or continuous deployment. Okay, so now there's a slight difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. You know, but people used to use it interchangeably. So CI/CD. So that's it. But I'm just trying to show us this so that at least it's easier for us to practice and have a good grasp, you know, of the concept of CI/CD. So now this is just the dashboard, and it's asking for, after creating new projects, it's asking us for description. So you can just put anything. This is for DevOps. Okay, then discard old build. Okay, and just leave that as it is. Now you can leave all this as it is, or you can say discard old build. You know, so when you're saying discard old build, you're trying to tell it like, okay, because you know every time you push a code, it's going to be building it. So what this is telling it is, okay, the moment you are building a new code, delete the old ones. Now, when you look at it now, it's like days to keep. So you can say keep it for 3 days. Now it says maximum number of build. You can say three builds to keep. So that is every fourth build is going to be deleting the old one. That's first in, first out, FIFO. So that's what it is. But then it's your choice. Then you have GitHub project. So with GitHub project, it's just asking for the URL for the project. So you can add the URL for the project, but then you can just leave this as it is anyway. Okay. The most important thing is source code management. Now, I told you we are automating the process. Once developer push a code, you want it to automatically build. So now you're saying, what is the source? Our source is from Git. So now, once you click on that, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying here. You can just ignore this. This doesn't really matter for now. It's just a little distraction. So now, source code, we are doing continuous integration. When you're talking about continuous integration, developers are pushing the code to Git, and then you're picking the code from Git, and then, doing your job. So that's why I specify Git, and then next thing is asking for GitHub URL. Okay, so now let's go to our GitHub and see what we have. Sign into my GitHub. Okay, so I'm logged in. Which repo did we use? Okay, DevOps class. Which one can we use? Let's do DevOps class. So this is one of the repository we have. So it's asking for this repository. We are going to copy this and put it in our Jenkins. Please enter Git repository. You see it's complaining like, please enter Git repository. Okay, yeah, okay, cleared. At times it used to be because of this, but then since it's already cleared. So here now we have credentials. It's asking for credentials. So the essence of these credentials is, let's assume it's a private repo. So let me see if I can add the credentials here. We have different ways of adding credentials now. This is username and password, which is what I'll be using. We have different options. Now, we have different options here. We have username and password. You can also use with private key. You can also use with private key. You also have GitHub app. So it depends on which one you want to use. But in our case, I want us to use username with password. So let's make use of username with password. Hi, do I even remember my username and password? Let me try to log in to collect. Sorry, please. I don't know it offhand. GitHub.com. You have to try. So, what should that be? Then we have watch that. Shit. All right, yeah, got it. Okay, so what's my username self? My username is Olexi. Okay, so I'm going to put in my username and password. My username is Olexi. So treat username as secret. So my password. So my username and password is the username and password I use to log into my GitHub, okay? Because it's asking for the credentials. If it's a public repository, it might not really give you an error. So ID is just, how do you want to recognize it? GitHub user. Okay, so description GitHub user. You can just say description to GitHub user. So the most important thing is unacceptable character. Okay, so now once that is done, then we can add. All right. Now that we've added that, we can select it here. Okay. So I think it's fine. Then you can go to advanced. I don't think there's anything to be done in advance. I don't think there's anything to be done in advance. So the next thing that is asking here is, which branch. You can also specify the branch you want to build. Okay. So if only you want it to be building only master branch, like when the code is in master or when the trigger action is in master or anything. I think I will explain this. What this is saying is, okay, every time it's building, I want you to build only master branch. I don't know, like anytime you actually trigger this pipeline to help you deploy. Okay, deploy the code that we have in master branch from GitHub. You know, we've added the GitHub repository. So what he's saying is, okay, always deploy the master branch of this GitHub. In fact, it's main. So we have to change it to main if at all that's it. This was old, you know, GitHub now use main instead of master. So, and then we say like you can blank for any branch. So now, if you leave it at any branch, it's going to build any branch depending on the branch that is calling the action. Okay, so it's just our choice, but let's leave it at main. So repository browser. What's this? What's this? Let's just leave this. Repository browser. Let's see. What's this all about? Add links in changes view Jenkins for an external system for browsing the details of these changes. Okay. All right, let's just leave it as it is. So now the next option is build trigger. What triggers the build? Okay. Now we've actually configured the repository that is getting the code from. Now, how do we trigger the build? What we want to do is, since we are using GitHub, we are going to be using GitHub hook to trigger the build. So that's why we are going to be clicking this GitHub hook trigger. Okay, so we also have other options anyway. It said trigger build remotely from script. You can also, if I click this now, it's going to give me an opportunity to be able to trigger this build using script. So all I just have to do is in my script, I just have to call this. I just have to call this endpoint and it's going to trigger the build. Okay, but that's not what you're going to do. You are using it. So use the following URL to trigger build remotely. So let's assume it's script, maybe from a script that you want to be triggering the build. That's where you actually make use of this. So the token name or build with parameters token name optionally append because to provide, since you are not using scripts. Then another one is build after other projects are built. So what this is actually trying to say is, okay, probably you have a chain of things to do. Okay, the first stage is maybe test. The second stage is deploy, you know, then the third stage is maybe deploy to dev. Then another stage is deploy. It's just like creating a chain of what you want to do. Okay, I don't know if you get what I'm saying. That's what this is actually saying. So it's this is just a way for actually setting maybe a predecessor. So he said build after other projects are built. So it's going to ask for, okay, project to watch out for. So probably, you know, this project you actually created now is called DevOps. This is the DevOps. Okay, so let's assume there's other project now. You just specify, okay, build after maybe DevOps 2 is completed, but we are not doing that. Okay, so this is just some other options. If a trigger even if the build fails, trigger even if the build is unstable and all, we are not doing that. So this is build periodically. So with this now, what this is actually saying is build periodically. Maybe there's something we call cron jobs. There's something we call cron jobs. You can also study about cron jobs. So cron jobs is a way for actually specifying to a server to be running jobs, you know, maybe at a specific time interval. Okay, probably maybe every day by 10 p.m. you want it to do particular thing, or every 5th of December. So you can just read this. It's pretty simple. So what is the use of star in cron? So look at these stars now. Each of these stars actually means something. I think the first one is year. Okay, save this answer, show. Okay, 5 means it runs once per hour at 5 minutes past the hour. What's this? Let me see. I really don't know it offhand, but I know what to do if I want to run a cron job. So cron job is just like you just specified few stars, and all those stars in each position has what they are doing. So how do I run a cron job every 20 minutes? Okay, so this is just looking for which one. How do I run a cron job every 12 hours? Come on. But that's not what we're actually here for. Okay. Let's take this as an example. This is what we have, the quick and simple editor for cron scheduler. So this is at 4:05. The next is, I think this one is minutes, this one is hour, then this one is day, month, and year. So they are like 5 hexadecimals, 5 characters. So each actually represents different values. So this is maybe next at 25 blah 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 4:05. So this actually means minutes, this hour, this is day, month, and year. Okay, it's even written on that. Look at it: month, minutes, hour, day, you can see, month, and day. So you just put it here. Like if you want to run every cron job, you just copy and put it here. So every digit actually has its own representation, but we are not doing that. Okay, so what we actually want to do is git hook trigger for git SCM. Okay, so that's what is going to happen here. Then I think I'm actually lost here, but things will actually get unfolded. So now let's go to the next session. Let's go to the next section. Each section is actually here on the right. You see, as you are scrolling, it's actually changing the highlighted section. If you look at this left, you see it's changing. So the first section is general. And the second configuration is Git source code management. Then the next one is, when I scroll down, I'll see build trigger, which are using GitHub trigger for Git SCM. Then the next one is build environment. Okay, so delete workspace before build, use secret text, add timestamp, and let's leave this as it is. We are not going to be monitoring with it. We are not going to be doing anything with this. We don't need it for what you're actually needing, because I think with this now, maybe when you actually want to do some compilation, maybe you have a Java code, you have a C++ code that you need to compile. You can see your hands, build with hands. So we are not doing any of those. All right. So now it's talking about build step. So now let's assume we actually want to deploy a Docker file. We want to deploy a Docker file, and then we are going to run Docker build, then push the Docker build to a GitHub repository, and then pull again and all. It's like you are running a script. Okay. Let me throw this question. Let's assume we have, just like the sample that we did, we all did this as an assignment then. Okay. Let's assume we want to deploy a Docker file, just like we had in the last assignment we had. Can someone just highlight the steps to take? The steps we need to take. Let's assume we actually want to deploy a Docker file, maybe Nginx, just like we are. I think we actually did that in one of our classes, right? In one of the assignments. Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, no problems then. Let me just go through it again. So let's assume.
Can you go again with the question? I was trying to understand the question, and then I was waiting for others to answer if they understood.
You remember when we were doing Docker, we actually created a Docker file, right?
Yeah.
To deploy a project. Now, what is the steps you actually? What was the steps you actually followed then to deploy the Docker?
To create the file or to just deploy?
Deploy. To deploy the code, I think we actually deploy a code. Let me see if I still have it here. We actually deployed a code using Dockerfile, if I remember. I think I do remember.
I think we created a Docker file.
We created
we started with the base image.
Exactly.
From Jenkins. Then we decided the path to use. I think the local path to use for application to be built. Then I think we ran some few commands.
Yeah.
Put some few commands there.
Exactly. So
that's what I can remember.
Yeah. You actually did good justice to that. So that is exactly those same steps now. That's what we are going to be using for build step. And for us to do that, we have different options here. Look at it. It says execute Windows bash command. Since we are not using Windows, we are using shell. So we are going to pick execute shell script. Okay, so once you click execute shell script, you can see it actually gave us this box. So with this box now, we can now put all those things now. Let's just do something simple. Let's just do cd into home directory, and let's do ls, okay? And let's make a directory inside. Let's do mkdir into root. Like I'm just playing around, all right? And then deploy so that we can just see what's really happening. You get what I'm saying, right? So yes. Now, what I just want to do is, I just want to show us how to use Jenkins. The last time when we actually did the deployment, when we did our deployment, we actually run the script. Where is it? New session. Is it restart session? Okay, we need to restart session. So last time, what we did was, okay, I think I've shot myself in the leg with this command I actually run. I knew I was doing something crazy. So I have to allow port 22. I actually run this command, or probably I should disable. I actually shoot myself in this command. Shit, what am I going to do? You get what happened here, right? I use this firewall. I enabled firewall to only allow port 8080. I didn't remember to put port 22 there. So I can't log into my instance again. Okay, let me see if I can log in from AWS itself. Connect instance. Let me see if I can connect. Wow. 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 You understand what's really happening here, right? Hello?
You can connect through instant connect through.
I can't connect to my system instance again.
What?
Shit. This is crazy. This is a costly mistake I don't want to make. I know there'll be way around it, but might not I need to log into the instance to be able to even run this command again. I enabled firewall to only allow port 8080. And then now I need port 22, which is not enabled.
Can we check the security group and see if we can
I
add
think
the
you
SSH?
need to configure the UFW, the firewall to forcibly open the port 22.
Exactly. And right now I can't even log into the instance again.
So you have to disable it. You have to disable the UFW.
For me to disable, I have to log into the instance, but I can't even log into the instance.
You have to shut down. You have to shut down the old server. You have to shut down the old server, and you enabled it on startup.
I enabled it. Shit. Let me see.
But I think if you restart the IP we changed, can we try to use it again? Or the security group, is it possible we check the security group?
No, it has nothing to do. Security group is another layer of security. Okay, so but for the security group, I think I actually allowed I allowed port 22, which we have here. This is it. This is SSH port, which is enabled. So it's always enabled. This is this. Yeah, so it's just another layer of security on its own. See? That's enabled. But then let me try. I'm not sure if restarting will actually work, but let me try it. Start instance. So another thing we could do to avoid this, I think somebody was mentioning the IP changes. Yeah, it's actually inevitable, but one thing we can do is we can always have elastic IP. But elastic IP is kind of fragile. If you are not careful, they will charge you for it. So something about elastic IP is anytime you actually delete an instance, anytime an elastic IP is left idle, they will charge you for it. Okay, let me explain this way. You only have opportunity to use one elastic IP per time. And if you don't know what elastic IP is just a way for reserving an IP, okay, in AWS. Okay, so like you want to reserve a particular IP for you, okay, and then you can attach that particular IP to an instance. Even when you restart the instance, the IP is always stable. But the moment you actually delete an instance, you must delete that IP too. Otherwise, every moment that you left for the elastic IP to be idle, they are going to be charging you for it and you pay. You understand? So that's why I didn't really mention that, but I think we can do that. You put successfully. Okay. Is it like
how about in case where we use it to do whatever we want to do, then release it so that we won't get charged.
Of course,
that work?
Yes, no. That's how it works.
Okay.
Did I even was I able to reboot? Was confirmed not to reboot the instance. This is a costly mistake that is dragging us back. Restart instance. It didn't work.
What I'm even looking at is configuring this UFW, the firewall.
Yeah, how? That is what I needed to do, but how?
I think there is a I've forgotten how, because I used it to
see. You're talking about command now. Where are you going to issue the command?
Okay. Oh shit! I forgot. I used my local system. Yeah, it was my local system I used.
Have the command. This is the command here. The command is not the issue. The only thing I just have to do is allow port 22. Just issue this command.
And there's no way you can list services from this UI the UI of this AWS to disable this thing for your instance.
That's the challenge. So now I think I have another option. There's something we call user data. So user data is a way for telling for telling the AWS to issue a command while starting a server. So I'm going to see if that will work. But where do I find the user data? They call it user data anyway. So I can issue different commands. Okay, this user data. Okay, so now user data currently here with this instance. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let me disable. I'll just simply disable. Let me see. Sudo disable, and hopefully it's going to work. Oh, I think it's not allowing me to edit. It's not allowing me to edit, man. Oh, it's not allowing to edit instance user data. You first need to stop your, okay, yeah, it's telling me I need to stop first.
I wanted to say that we have not shut it down. We've not stopped the instance.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it. It wants me to stop it first. So I'm going to stop the instance. Stop. And then after stopping, let's go back to user data instance settings. Then edit user. See, like still stopping or what? It's still stopping, not yet stopped. Okay, stop. So now let's go to our instance data now. User data. Select. So user data, edit user data. So modify user data as text, modify user data by importing file. Okay, so place the user data. So I think what I need to do now is I actually want to disable. So which is going to be this. So it's going to be disable. So is either I disable or allow the port. Input is already base 64 encoded, no. So it's just plain text. So let's see if it's gonna work. Now I'm going to restart the user data. I'm going to restart the instance and let's see if it's going to work.
I was thinking we could have used enable 22. UFW enable 22.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just hope it just works anyway. No, I actually said it like one really has to be careful with these things. Don't just what I did is actually grievous, you know, right? What I did, you know, this thing that I did was previous. So it's running. Let's restart and see. Oh, didn't work, man. This didn't work. I wish I could see the log. How can we even be sure? It's even, how can we be sure? View instance state. Let me see. I actually want to be sure, like, how can we be sure it's even run what we expected? Let me see, monitor and get instance screenshots, get system logs. Okay. Which one should I do? Is it system logs? For boot or networking issues. So the view system logs, for instance, Sunday. Okay, I couldn't see any log here. Shit. Okay, let me see console. Instance screenshot, detail monitoring. Let me see C2 instance. To connect to the instances in C2, the account must be authorized in the C2 instance settings. So what do we have here? So we have monitoring, C2 serial console, instance that is not supported specifically. To connect to the instance, the instance must use an instance type that is built on the AWS Nitro system. I think, in order not to waste time, I think I might need to start a new instance, man.
Okay, I want to ask you, so it's not even Linux. Can you build can you configure your PowerShell to connect to your instance via SSH on PowerShell using your PPT key and all that, if it will work?
Okay.
From your old system.
Okay, from my Windows.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see.
It might be a little bit tedious. I don't know.
Let me see then. We have, I think I have git bash. So I have git bash. Yeah. First thing, let me even try to telnet. Let me telnet to see what we have. Oh, the IP has even changed. Shit. I've been testing wrong thing. The IP has changed. Ping. Okay, ping is working. Ping is working. Let me see. Okay. Now, let me test this then. The new IP. New session. Let's load the new. I'm going to change the IP. Set session. Let me see. I think it's working. I think it's working. Telnet. Telnet is not recognized. It's bash. I think it's working. Ah. Should I just start a new instance? Or we should figure this out? I know there will always be a way anyway. There will always be a way, and if it's a critical environment, the worst case is to consult the AWS customer support themselves. Okay. Hello. Hello. Let me just see if I can just set up a new instance without wasting more time, so I will not just waste time just trying to troubleshoot.
Yeah, but don't delete that instance.
Why?
And maybe whenever we have chance, we can work it out, like, use it as, experiment or something, when there's free time, because it's a real life challenge that any of us can encounter in the future. So let's know how to, go around it.
Yeah. Well, this I just did now, it's actually a serious thing anyway. It's not as simple as it is, but on a normal day myself, I wouldn't do such. I wouldn't just mess around. And another good thing is it's good we actually have this kind of thing right now than when it's more critical. Okay. So this is running. Let me try to access this. Okay, so I have a new instance running. Let's see. Sorry, so let's start again, please. Firstly, let me start by seeing the security for this. Let's ensure we have the security group configured. Okay, we have port 8080. What we need is, let's just go and enable everything. HTTP, HTTPS, enable traffic from anywhere, save rule. It's crazy, man. It needs to take some time. So let's start updates. This is going to take some time. This first time you're updating. Okay. It take time. I'm just trying to install the Jenkins back. Okay, so that's the IP. Let's see. All right, so just continue what we have before. That's the password. Then I use the password. Now, let's install the plugin.
You have the file. Yes. You give me the file, and I can try to rush. You'll get me out of here. Whoa, Jenkins, I'm not in the gang. I just got off the plane.
Double repair face moisturizer delivers double action to help repair skin's barrier and provide 48 hours.
Who do you want to talk to? Who are you calling on the system?
Yeah. So start using Jenkins. So let's go to new item. Let's call it DevOps. Fish type project. Okay. Then this is DevOps. Then our repository. Then let's add Let's add credentials. Let's add credentials. We are going to be selecting username and password. We have different options. So we have this. Okay, so I select and then update this to main. So GitHub, trigger. Then the next thing is add build, execute shell. Then let's just say cd to this ls root. So let's now say fkdir into create something in depth called DevOps. All right, so let's just see how this is going to be. Then we also have, you can also have more than one build step, you know, but we are just going to be using one. Then post build 2, you can still do the same thing, but we don't really need it. So we have email notification, depending on what you'll be needing. And also, maybe if you have anything you want to do, there's plugins. Okay, this one is delete workspace. You have a lot of things you could do, and you can also extend it using plugin. Or at least for basically what we want to do is to deploy. So let's just settle with this and then apply. Okay, then save. So now that we've saved, a simple thing that we can just do is okay, before we do that, let me show us something. Okay, I think in this directory, let's log into our instance and go to this directory and see what we have. So Jenkins used to have a working directory. Jenkins used to have a working directory. Let me just delete the old, okay, new section. Go to at this on 422, then save new. Go to get the connection, SSH, ports, browse, DevOps, then go back to session, then let's save, and then load. Okay, so what am I even trying to do self? Okay, I want to log into the instance. Close this sudo su. So let's go to this directory so that you can see what we have, 2ls var. So once you actually build, I just want to show you, like, it's going to get the code from GitHub. cd Jenkins. Okay, there's nothing like Jenkins here. There's not, okay, this is Jenkins. Okay, cd Jenkins. Oh, what am I doing? var lib Jenkins ls. Then we have secret, initial secret. So what do you have inside secret? It's supposed to have deleted it. So why didn't they delete it? Secrets. Supposed to have deleted it. Yeah, I think it's deleted. You can see initial password is no longer existing. So it's actually deleted. Okay. So now this is where you actually have, this is the home directory for Jenkins. We are in home directory for Jenkins. So everything we'll be doing inside the pipeline is going to be here. So I think once we actually run the job, it's going to pull the repo and store it somewhere here. So I'm just trying to see which maybe it's just going to create the directory. Notes plugins. So this is for plugins. This is secret. This is update. Let me see what we have inside user content. But I just want to see it before we actually run the job so that you can see what we are doing. So this is user content. Okay, we have readme inside the user content. Let me see what we have inside the user content. User content, readme. So file in this directory will be served under, okay, under your Jenkins /user content. Okay, I think this is just for configuring some things. I don't know, the home page, but then let's leave that and let's check user. So I think this user is where it actually creates users. Okay, so this is RichMind. So let me see inside RichMind. Do we have any other thing here? Config.xml. Okay, now you see we've actually seen all the jobs now. Okay, yeah, we now have jobs too, which is the DevOps we created. So let's see what we have inside DevOps. I'm just trying to see what we have inside all the directories. We also have build and some other things. So legacy, all right, cool. So you see what we have. Now let's try to build the job that we've created. Okay, so we are inside the job already. So for you to just build the job, this is the dashboard. Let's go to the dashboard. Once you go to the dashboard, you see the DevOps here. So you can click on it. And on the right pane, you see build now. So what the build now basically we just do is going to create all those things we have. You remember, what I created, right? The scripts are actually run. So once you actually do build now, what we're expecting is for you to get the repository. It's going to get the repository and then run these scripts. Okay, but now I think I have something here. So now for you to now see everything, all the jobs that are the build history. This is under build history. You see number one. You can see number one here, and you can see X. It actually means failed. So let me see why it failed. So no changes, revision. It said ref remote origin main. Okay, why do I have this? So this is the problem we have. Said the build actually failed. Build number one failed. No changes. Blue flash. So repository. This ref remote main. So keep the build forever. Is this failed? No changes. Said no changes. Okay, I'm trying to see no changes refs. So took 1 minute, seconds, keep builds forever. Is this failed? And why did it fail? Ref remote origin main. And then we have remote origin main here. Okay. Refs remote origin main. Refs remote origin main. Okay, fine. Let me see. Let me try something. Jenkins user ID RichMind. Okay. Why do we have this? We have the console output, which is what we are checking. Okay, that's the console output. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. Okay. With this console output, it's giving us more detailed information. So let's see. All right. So look at it now. Look at the error message. It said cannot open directory root because permission denied. You see that, right? So, hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so now what it's actually telling us is it cannot open this directory. It cannot open this directory. So let's see. That's why it's actually built. That's why it's actually failed. Okay, so for me to do that now, I have to go back to my console and add sudo. But I think that should be a distraction anyway. So what I'll just do is I'll just take that out. Okay, I'll take that out and just so that I can go forward with my explanation. So let me take this out for now and then apply and save. We are still going to work on that later anyway, but I just want us to get this out of the way first. So let me run build now. All right, so you can see check mark number 2, check mark. Then I can click on that and see the output, console output. And then, okay, success. So now we said you should create a directory called DevOps. Now you see, let's go to our terminal now. ls tmp. Let's see what we have. We should see a file called DevOps. So you can see that now. So following this simple logic now, you can easily run a script, okay, from Jenkins. I don't know if you understand the concept yet. Hello?
Yes.
Please, before I move on, do you understand the concept of what you are trying to do here?
To some extent, yeah.
Yes.
No, what don't you understand? You can just let me know. It's nothing serious. So it's something simple. So just let me know. It's a thing I can just brush up. What's not
Okay,
clear?
what you've explained is okay, but where do we apply this, and when does it come to maybe when you have a software or application that you develop and you want to be maintaining every time? What and how do we apply this?
Yeah, we will get there. We get there. What I've just been able to show you so far is how to just use Jenkins to perform simple deployments. So the next thing we are going to be doing is every time a developer pushes a code, okay, I want you to deploy. That's the next thing we want to do now. Okay, so let's do that. I think that should answer your question. Now, what we want to do is anytime there's a changes inside this repository, please trigger this Jenkins. Will that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So now, for us to do that now, we have to supply the Jenkins URL, this Jenkins URL, to our GitHub. So now let's go to our GitHub now. For us to do that now, we have to configure. There's something we actually call webhook. So webhook is just a concept of how do I explain webhook now? Like webhook, when you're talking about webhook is like an endpoint, okay, that I can use to call something. But probably, just like I told you, like if you want to trigger, when we were doing the configuration, I told you like if you want to trigger a build, you can use scripts. That's an endpoint. The same thing as webhook. So now let's configure the webhook. For us to configure the webhook, just click on settings. So you click on settings, and then from settings, okay, you click on webhook. You click on webhook. So after clicking on webhook, okay, I have one webhook before. Well, I'm going to create a new webhook. Let me create a new webhook. So creating a new webhook now, let's see. Content type. Okay, now is the payload URL. I think this payload URL is what is going to is what is going to house your Jenkins URL. So just copy the Jenkins endpoints. Copy the Jenkins endpoints and paste here. Control A, Control V. Then after the comma, you now add GitHub -webhook. Okay, and then secret. When you're talking about secret, so we have to, are we going to use secret? Do we have any secrets we are going to use? So now we have to actually create the secret. We have to create a secret that we're going to make use of. Otherwise, it's going to complain like not having access. So how do we generate a secret? I think to generate a secret, Let's see, is it credentials, system credentials, stop from parents? No, no credentials. Let's go to configure. Okay, API new tokens. There are no registered tokens for this user. Okay, so let's add a new token. So you have to use new token. Let's call it GitHub. So add, oops, generate. So let's copy this. That's what we're going to make use of. That's what we're going to make use of. Then you supply it as secret here. That's what it's going to use to log in. Sorry. Okay, copy this token. Copy it proper. Okay, copy this token now because it cannot be recovered in the future. Okay, so I'm going to use that again. Control A, okay. And the gist is I guess okay. So just push the push event, send me everything. Okay, so it depends on what you want to do. You can do send push event. You can like what this means is just only the push event. This first one, only the push event. That's when you should trigger. Then we have another one, send me everything. Then you also have another one, let me select individual events. So you can also select individual events, maybe when there are pushes, when there are repositories, you know. But then without wasting our time, let's just do send me everything for now, and then create add webhook. Okay, so once we have that, let's now go back to our repository and try and see something. Let's try and see if it's going to work. Let's make a simple edit. Let's do a simple edit. And see. Hello. And readme main. Commit directly to main branch. Let's see what we have. So I'm expecting this should automatically trigger the job. Please. I don't want stress. Just trigger. Okay. Nothing is triggered. So nothing is triggered here. It's supposed to automatically trigger this. It's supposed to automatically trigger the job, but now we can't see the job triggered. I want to believe I'm missing out something. So we've made the change. Yes, the changes I made. Oh, okay, this is it. Okay. So now I think I can also check what happened. I can check what happened. Let me see if it's triggered. Go to webhook. Let's see if there was any trigger. Can I check if there's any trigger? How can I check if there's any trigger? Who sent deliveries? Okay, this is 1204. Okay, this is 12. Which date is this? 2022. Okay, 1204. Okay, 1150. Okay, yeah, cool. So now it says invalid. That's 302. So 302 should be more familiar issue. So we have post. What's really happening? I'm trying to get the reason why we have that error. 302 actually means something. 302 is supposed to be a success. Yeah. So why are we having this? So we have post 302 is more like 200. Site admin. I'm just trying to get the error message clearly because now the error message is 302. So why are we having 302 is what I'm trying to understand. BP.
Okay, boss, can I ask a question?
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, I noticed you did not install the Git plugin from the Jenkins management and this thing configuration. Okay, here's the thing. This similar error, I had this similar error when I was trying out Jenkins. Though I did not go through that creating a folder from the using Jenkins, using the command, all those steps you did, the initial step like creating a folder, inputting a command into the Jenkins, that environment, this thing like the Git environment where you put in the command to create folder and run commands, like a script, right? I didn't do all those processes, but the other one that I did, I noticed you did not do, like configuring. I wanted to understand what is the difference, what does agent does, what do agent does, and the nodes, what is the difference? Probably is connecting to the cloud or something. I don't know. Then
Just like
I think I was
just like I told you, just like I told you, I said plugins are just a way for extending features. So what do you want to achieve? Now I'm using Git. The reason why I don't install any plugin for Git is because it's already installed by default. Now I can show you how to install plugins anyway. I plan to actually show us, but then I just want to get this done. Then after we get this done, then we should be able to work on plugin. I think I remember something I'm missing out that I got the issue. We need to put this /. I remember I used to have this issue. So let's try this. I think it's a very sensitive thing. This / must be included. So I will try this again. I understand what you're trying to say. Like you're trying to ask about plugins. Okay, why do you need plugins? Okay, probably you want to SSH into a server, into a remote server. Definitely you need an SSH plugin to do that. Something like that. Yeah, you should explore it. But I'm just
is that the agent? Is that what agent does?
Yeah, that's an agent. That's an SSH.
I noticed on your Jenkins this in profile, that red amber this in showing at the top where your account this in is.
What?
I wanted to this red this in.
This one?
Go back, go up. Go up. Yeah, that's very one on that yeah.
This is just a building on built-in node can be a security issue. Okay, what this is actually saying is, building on the built-in node can be a security issue. What I kind of think is, because you have Jenkins set up on this particular node, on this particular EC2 instance. So our Jenkins server is the same thing that we are using as a server.
Okay.
So he said we should set up an agent. Node name, add the plain permanent agent to Jenkins. This is called permanent because Jenkins does provide a higher level of integration such as dynamic provisioning. Okay. I actually did not plan to work with this. I did not plan to work with this anyway. So why will I need this? Just like I told you, anything you need, just try and check. Jenkins is actually very robust. You can use it for basically anything you need. All you just need is just get the plugin for that particular feature. But so far, so good. I think the basic thing we need is let's get our CI/CD pipeline running. Okay.
All right.
This is just trying to direct you like, oh yeah, why are you using the same server for your Jenkins and you're also deploying the same thing? Like you have your Jenkins running on your server. Okay, try and set up an agent. Okay, maybe an SSH agent to be able to log into a server, whatsoever you want. But then I think we'll be doing that installing an agent. So yes, Jenkins is very robust. There's something you also call having, just like you have your Kubernetes, you also have master and node. You also have master and slave in Jenkins. That's another thing. You also have masters and Jenkins. There are a lot of things you could actually do in Jenkins. But basically what I'm just doing is I'm just using Jenkins for a basic CI/CD pipeline at the barest minimum. Okay, so now, just like I told you, this forward slash, I remember I used to have this issue back then. I omitted this forward slash. After I have configuration, I'll try to include forward slash. I'm going to update again and see, and let's hope it actually solve our issue. So I'm going to edit this again. And then I can go and see what's really happening. Recent delivery. Let me see recent delivery. All right. So you see a check mark. You see, as simple as that is, it was a EG issue. So let's go back to our Jenkins and see if it triggers. I just hope this triggers. Dashboard. DevOps. So you can see it actually triggered, right? You know, before, what we did before was manual trigger. Someone asked a question, how do you actually, like, how does it work with continuous integration? Now you can see, now what we just configured is anytime a developer push a code, trigger this job. So it's the job that we now configure, okay, anytime a developer push a code, run this command and deploy to server. Is it making sense?
Yes, it's making sense.
So the most important thing now is we are able to get GitHub to trigger Jenkins server, which I think is the most important thing for now. So let's now see why we have this error message. So now we have this error message because it said the file already exists. So you can see the error message. Now, I was trying to show you, like, we should be able to see the code itself. So let me now see if it actually pulled the code. The code from the repository. Let's see if it's actually put the code from the repository into our EC2 instance, which I believe that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to pull it into this directory. So let's go into this directory and check what we have. var lib Jenkins ls. All right, fingerprints, no secrets. All right, this is what I'm looking for, workspace. So let's go to workspace. You see DevOps. Let's check DevOps. All right, so you actually see now, you see it automatically clone the code. So is this code that you now work on inside your EC2 instance? Is it making sense now? So now, if truly you really want to do this now, the simplest thing you can just do is go to your EC2 instance and go to your GitHub repository, create a Docker file. Let's create a new file and call it Docker file. Okay, and then let's say Docker file for Nginx. So I just want to create a Docker file, like how this thing actually works. Trying to look for how to set up Docker file. Docker file. So I just want us to deploy a simple Nginx anyway. So that's what I want us to deploy. Okay, yeah. So this is simple Docker file. So now we have this to build the package. Okay. So, we can build this complete project just as it is now. This complete project, we can definitely build this as it is, but let's just do the simplest thing now. Docker file. So what we are just going to do is from Nginx, and then what's this? This is copy this. Let me see what it's trying to do here. So just try to create a Docker file over the content folder for HTML folder of Nginx, which downloaded as part of our image. So this is copy from this and put it inside HTML. I think this should be the location of the home directory for Nginx. Okay, this should be the home directory. So I think I won't just do this. So let me just inside the Docker file, I'm going to remove this. I can just say run. What command can I run? Let me just mkdir. So I can just see what's happening. tmp, mkdir tmp DevOps. So now, basically, what I'm just doing here is deploy this Docker file. So we already have a Docker file. And then let me save the Docker file. I'm saving the Docker file. So here we have the Docker file. Now, what you're going to see now is it's going to trigger the Jenkins. Let's go back to the project. So you see, failed. So why did it fail? Because of that ls that we are still telling it. So let's just take this out. Okay. Now, we can now tell it like, okay, guy, every time a new deployment is happening, anytime a new project is happening, okay, I'm going to do something first. To start with, let's make a directory. Let's make a directory for project building. So let's just call it like, let's just think of this as our initial configuration inside Ubuntu, or is it home? ls home. Okay, so let's make a directory inside home Ubuntu empty. Okay, so let's call it DevOps. Okay, so now in our Jenkins script now, we can start with that. Anytime there's a new code, first thing I want you to do is clear everything. We can say rm-rf, everything we have inside home /Ubuntu/DevOps. Okay, clear everything we have inside here. Then copy the content, cp the content, cp recursively the content that we have from this cp workspace, cp DevOps. Like this is where it's going to pull the code originally. You can see the Docker file that we just created, it pulled it. So you are telling it like, copy everything from this directory and paste it inside the new directory that we created. So you say copy everything and paste it inside here. Am I making sense?
Yes.
All right. So now, once you do that, now the next thing is you want to do Docker build, right? Now, just a minute. Okay. So now, let's go back to our Jenkins. Now, Docker build. Oh yeah, we might have an issue. I think another thing we actually have to take notice is going to give us issue. I need to fix this issue for Jenkins to be able to run sudo command. I need to be able to make Jenkins to be able to run sudo command. I need to do something. Oh, Okay. I'll figure that out. But before that, let's do sudo docker. You remember the command for building image, right? Sudo docker build -t. Then let's call it DevOps, right? DevOps, then dot. Let me see if this is going to work. Let me run it. It's for the first time. Let me see. Oh, I've not installed Docker. So sorry. So you have to install Docker. I think we should actually call it a day yourself. It's off already. Let's not go through this process. Okay. Because if you continue like this, maybe till 1, it's midnight.
Yeah.
Past midnight, and I have to go to the office tomorrow. I didn't even check the time. So please, I think we can just continue from here. Since it's just a continuation, maybe we can just continue from there on Thursday.
All right.
No, I can't. Shiloh, I'm connecting to Shiloh. Yeah, till Sunday. All right, so we can just continue from there on Sunday. Okay. So before we call it today, do you have any question?
For me, where I got a little bit thrown off is the webhook configuration part. I think I was disconnected intermittently, so I didn't really get what you did there.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick recap. So now, what we let me just apply this and save. It's nothing anyway, but let me just apply this and save. Continue from there. So basically, what we did was we created a job. And this is the job. Okay, and then in the process of creating a job, there are some questions that are being asked. Okay, so in the process of creating job, this is what it actually shows. You can even enable and disable here. So at least you are clear with this configuration, right?
Yeah, I'm clear with this part.
All right. So now the webhook is such a way for actually creating a connection between GitHub and Jenkins itself. Okay, GitHub, anytime a developer pushes the code to you, trigger the Jenkins endpoints. That is the essence of the webhook. So to do that, you just go to the repository that you are using to manage a particular project.
Okay.
Are you getting it? Then go to settings and click on webhook. Once you click on webhook, click on add webhook and just specify the URL of the Jenkins, the URL of the Jenkins, then GitHub webhook. That's what makes it an endpoint.
Okay.
So just /GitHub -webhook.
Okay.
And don't forget to add your / at the front. And then for the part of secret, just go to your Jenkins, come to your name here. It depends on the user that you actually want to be able to run. So now come here and do configure. So add new token. So you just click on add new token, give it a name and click generate. So it's going to give you something. So generate, it's going to give you some hexadecimals. Copy this and then use it in your GitHub. And use it in your GitHub as secrets. Just copy this. So that will be the secret that GitHub will make use of. then you save. So now before you save, which event do you want it to trigger? Just push events. So this actually means anytime a developer push a code, trigger. Then we also have other things that you can consider. Everything, send me everything, including merge requests, including tag, including whatsoever. Anything that, if anything just happen, trigger the endpoint. Then we now have, let me select. So you have different things, you know, look up, you have branch and tag creation. You have code scanning alerts, you have deploy keys, you have forks, you have issues, you have labels. So there are different things you can just choose to select what event you want. And then once you select, you just click on add webhook. But we are not going to be adding it. So that's it. So what that now means is anytime there's anything, any activities on GitHub, just trigger our Jenkins endpoints.
All right, I grab. Thanks.
All right. Any other question, please? All right, yeah. So at this junction, we can call it a day. Thank you for taking time out. Really appreciate. See you again on Sunday.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
All right.
All right, thanks so
God
much.
bless you, sir.
God bless you too.
Have a very nice and fruitful week.
And you too. All right.